Hi, in this video we're going to take a look at how we set up the auto dialer board. Basically we'll be following the quick start guide which comes with each and every board. It's not so much about how we wire it in as opposed to how we set it up with text messages and master numbers and things like that. So basically if you need to look at how you wire it in, we do have other videos for that, so have a look at the blog for them. But on this one we're going to assume you've got it all powered up, you've got the SIM in, you've got the aerial connected and things like that, and we're ready to set it up using our mobile phone. So first thing we need to know about the dialer board. It has 5 different types of number. Firstly we have master numbers. Master numbers are the numbers, telephone numbers, mobile telephone numbers that set the board up. You can adjust the settings, you can add numbers and things like that with master numbers. Secondly we have text numbers. Text numbers are the recipients of the text messages when the inputs are triggered. Similarly, call numbers are the telephone call recipients. The difference between call numbers and text messages, obviously text messages, they get the SMS text messages, whereas the call numbers get dialed by the board. We also have user numbers. Basically they're able to operate the outputs and nothing else. That's all they can do. Switch, for example in this case, if you look at the demo board, they'd be able to switch on the LED, basically output the relay. And finally we have data numbers. They're used for dialing in with a modem and they won't be covered in this video. Okay, so we can't do anything else without setting up a master number, as they are the only people who are able to make changes to the board. When you get a board new, you'll notice that there's a jumper on there. Just to clarify, as I get asked this a lot, the jumper, all that can do is allow the master setup text message to be read by the board. Once you've got that done, once you've got the first master number set up, you may as well take that off so nobody else can come along and set up a master number on your board. That's all the jumper allows you to do. It doesn't clear anything, it doesn't enable anything else. It just allows that one master text message to operate. So we need that in place when we first set the board up, and that's the only time we need it. So with that in place, we send the text message, master, it'll be on the screen, but master, then a space, then the telephone number of our phone, this phone, to the SIM card number. So if we do that now. Okay, so once we've sent that message, you need to keep an eye out on the LED there next to the pin header. It's called the result LED, LED2. And you'll notice when it successfully receives the message, it'll flash twice. There we go. It's flashing twice now. That means the master number's been successfully set up. We can check that straight away, and we do that by dialing the board number with the master phone, and we should be able to hear the relay click if it's been successfully set up. I'll just put it by the camera. Okay, with the master number set up, obviously take that jumper off. From now on we're going to use this demo system here. Even though it's enclosed in the enclosure, you can still see the SIM card LED, and you can also see the result LED there, which is the 2 important LEDs on the board. Okay, so what I want to happen now, when the input is triggered, I want this phone to ring first, and then I want this phone to ring second. So what I've done is, I've sent to the demo unit, I've sent the text message call num, followed by the phone number for this phone, and then I sent in another text message call num, followed by the phone number to this phone. So we should ring this phone first when we activate the input. This phone should ring. If we answer the phone and leave it for 5 seconds, the dialer will automatically hang up to this phone and move on to the next number. It's gone. Now it should move on to this number and ring this phone, which it does. Now this time, once this phone's rung, I don't want it to ring the next phone, so if we trigger it again, once again, we can see that the input's been activated, the LED lights up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer the phone, and I'm going to put it down straight away. And that tells the dialer that it doesn't need to it doesn't need to ring any more numbers, and then it'll move straight on to the text numbers. Okay, so this time I've sent to the dialer the text message, text num, followed by a space, followed by the telephone number for this phone, and a full stop as the correct format. Now when we trigger the input, once again we'll see that the LED lights to show that it's been triggered. This phone will ring as before. I'm going to answer it and put it down straight away so it stops calling any more numbers, otherwise it would have called this number. And then after it's done the calling, it then moves on to sending text messages. So we should receive a text message on this phone. And there we go, we just received it. So if we wanted that text message to read something in particular, we use the custom command. In this case, as we're using input A, we've sent the message custom with A appended on the end of the word custom, followed by our message, and we sent input A triggered. You must put a full stop at the end of that message, and that tells the dialer where the end of the message is. Otherwise, it won't read the message. It'll just default it to the old message. So remember to put a full stop at the end of the custom message. Okay, so obviously the board has two inputs. So far we've only been activating input A, but those commands that we've sent so far, as we haven't specified which input it's for, it will be active for when both inputs trigger. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send the clear all command, which erases everything from the memory, so it's effectively like getting a new board. And then I'm going to set up some call numbers and text numbers for input A and separate call numbers and text numbers for input B. Now I've sent call num with the letter A appended onto the end of call num, followed by this telephone number. So that input A will basically ring this number. And then once again I've sent call num with input with the letter B appended onto the end of the word call num with this telephone number. So input B, which is the PIR detector, will dial this number. So obviously once again we press that, we get input A ringing. So we'll answer it and we leave it for 5 seconds for the dialer to hang up itself, and then it would normally move on to the next number, but in this case it'll just stop. The reason it'll stop because there are no more numbers. However, when we remove the cover from the PIR detector, that should trigger it. There we go, decided to play ball. It'll now ring this number. There we go. Unfortunately, it'll keep doing that until we disable the input B input. So I'm going to do that now with the command input B disable. So there we go, we've sent the command input B disable. Now what that does is it doesn't remove the telephone numbers from the memory. All it does is disables the calling or texting when the input B is triggered. Now we could set it so that we disable either just calling or just texting, where if you look at the manual you'll see the commands for that. But basically we've turned everything off because otherwise the PIR detector would constantly bombard us with messages, because that's the nature of PIR detectors, unless they stay very still. So if at any point we want to see what numbers are there inside the memory, we send the list command, which I've just sent to the unit. It will reply then with a list of numbers that are in the memory, and it will also tell us what type of numbers they are. So if we wait for our reply, there we go. Open that message. You'll have to get in quite close here to see that. Firstly, it'll say, we can see there it says TM, that means text multiple. So multiple means either A or B. It'll send it to either A or B when A or B are triggered. The first number, which is that phone in the middle. Then obviously it's found a master number, which is this phone actually. So we can see the letter M for master, followed by this phone number. Then we see CB, which means a call number for input B, which is the PIR detector, followed by that phone number. Then we see CA, which is a call number for input A, followed by the number, which is effectively this one that we set up before. So if we want to remove any of those numbers, we use the remove command. We say specify remove with the space, followed by the number and a full stop at the end. However, if we want to remove a particular type of number, for example, say that we had this mobile phone number in the memory as a call number and a text number, but we only wanted to remove the text number, or in this, actually we'll say in this case the call number, as I've set it up on the phone. We send the command remove, but we append the character C for call number on the end of the word remove, and then we send the telephone number, and that will only remove the call number associated with that number. It'll leave the text number in there, or if it's a master number, it'll leave the master number in there. It'll only ever remove the call numbers. So that's one way we can get rid of a particular call number, but leave all the other numbers in the memory alone. And finally, we're going to have a quick look at the output. I've just sent the message on to the dialer, and what that's going to do is that's going to activate the relay to switch this LED on. Also, I'm going to send, you guessed it, off. This phone will let me. There we go. going to send the word off to the same number, and as soon as it receives it, you should see the LED goes off. As you may be aware, if you don't use your SIM card for sending a text message or making a call for about 3 months, the networks can quite often deactivate them, which is a problem in the gate opener and also the auto dialer. So we set up with our system a keep alive command. There is the command. It's simply KA followed by a space, followed by a phone number that can receive text messages, followed by the frequency you want it to send the text messages. What this does is it will send text messages every, in this case, 20 days to the telephone number specified, so that the network can see the SIM card is still active and still in use, so it won't cancel it off the network. Now, we often get asked, how can we check the balance on our SIM card using the gate opener or the auto dialer? So what we did was we set up a forwarding service which will send either text messages from your network or result codes from your network to a specified forwarding number. So we have two different forwarding services. One, we have forward enable. Forward enable just sends you everything it receives from unknown numbers. The network to the system will be an unknown number, so it'll send all network messages straight to the forwarding number. We also have forward temp. Now, forward temp will only send messages for up to 3 minutes after it's received a message from you. Now, typically you'll send it either the dial or the SMS command. So for the next 3 minutes, it will be expecting a result from the network, and when it gets that, it will send it to you. So I've used this phone to set up the forwarding services. Now, the forwarded messages will always go to this phone. It knows to send it to this phone because it will have read the telephone number of this phone when I set up the forward command. So it'll always be this phone that receives the replies. So if the SIM that was in this dialer was in a mobile phone, to get our balance, what we would do is we would dial the code *102#. We'd actually dial that and press the dial button on our phone. Then the network would reply to us with a message telling us what our balance was. So effectively, with this network, we need to replicate dialing that code. With this unit, we have with the gate opener and the auto dialer boards, we have the command dial, and that will dial anything you tell it to. If you specify a code after the command dial, it will dial that number just as if you press the green button on your phone. So with this particular SIM and this board, that network requires you to send it a text message saying balance to the number 150. So we need to replicate that using the dialer, and we do that with the SMS command. The SMS command will send whatever text you specify in the command to the number you specify, and because we set up the forwarding command already, when it receives the reply from the network, it will forward that to this mobile, which is the forwarding number. Now, you're going to need to find out from your network how you get your balance. Typically, it'll either be dialing a code like *102#, as it was with Vectone, or sending a text message, like in the example of O2 and T-Mobile, which is the word balance to 150. So if you look on our blog, we do have a list of various different networks and how you go about getting the balance, or you can consult your network yourself.